Hello, mortals. I am the BookTube Goddess, the #1 drag queen booktuber on YouTube. Now, along with The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue, which I loved and I'll link up here, I picked Cinders and Sparrows, the middle grade book by Stefan Bachmann for Shelve It or Shove It. Since I picked the book just based on the cover, I thought it was maybe a Cinderella retelling and or possibly a portal fantasy. I was wrong on all accounts. Don't you be wrong and forget to give this video a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe and ring the bell if you haven't already. Now, I've never read anything by Stefan Bachmann. Frankly, I've never even heard of Stefan Bachmann. But I will go out of the way and say this is the best middle grade novel I've read that was published this year. Okay, I'm not Gavin Hetherington. I don't actually read that many middle grade books. And I know I've talked about just focusing my channel on adult books in the future. But then I come across a book like Cinders and Sparrows and remember,
oh yeah, that's why I like middle grade books.
By the way, this is a standalone story. If you want to read a middle grade as a breather and don't want to get stuck in a big series, you can't go wrong with Cinders and Sparrows. Now, there could be more books in the future with this main character, Zita Bridgeborn, but it won't be a sequel in terms of story arc. This book has a definite conclusion and there is no cliffhanger. Now, this story is a twist on the Little Lord Fauntleroy story published in 1886 by Frances Hodgson Burnett, who you probably know as the author of The Secret Garden. Basically, Little Lord Fauntleroy is a story of an American orphan who discovers he has inherited the title of Lord in England and is heir to a huge fortune. Now, in Cinders and Sparrows, 12-year-old Zita Bridgeborn is a poor orphan who works as a maid. Suddenly, a lawyer turns up to inform her that she is the heir to Blackbird Castle. Now, thinking that her fortunes have turned for the better, she travels to the castle to discover that she comes from a powerful family of witches, only she discovers that now she is the last surviving member of her line, as all other members of her family have mysteriously died. She is to be trained as a witch by the awful Mrs. Cantanker, who makes no secret of the fact that she can't stand Zita. The other members of the castle are two servants around Zita's age, a boy named Bram and a girl named Minifer. Obviously, she becomes friends with the two servants and is put through the ringer by Mrs. Cantanker. How did Zita's family die? Why does Mrs. Cantanker hate her? Why can't Bram and Minifer speak freely to Zita? There's lots of mysteries and a big twist at the end. Now, it's not a perfect book. I thought some of the things were weak. The magic system is pretty vague and not really well developed, though it's not really necessary for the story. But apparently witches can see and talk to the dead. They have some magical implements like silver scissors, and they use herbs for their spells. Witches also get bird familiars, and Zita gets a big crow. Though there's a big discussion about crows and sparrows, and it seems odd that Zita got a crow, even though she constantly makes metaphors for sparrows. Now, as an aside, I don't really like the title of the book, Cinders and Sparrows. I don't really think it does it justice. It deserves a snappier title. Also, it was hard for me to get a handle on the setting or time period. I want to say that it was set in the Regency period, sort of a Jane Austen time period, though it could very well be something else. Of course, this is a fantasy. It could be anytime, anywhere, but it's useful to have some visuals and from the references to clothing and architecture and whatnot, I thought it had a Regency feel. Now, what made this book stand out for me was the writing. Stefan Bachmann has gorgeous writing. So descriptive, so colorful, so full of metaphor, and everything is deliberate. In other words, it never verged into purple writing or writing that is too floral or overwrought just for the sake of it. It was simply a joy to read. And the other thing that really made the book work for me was the characters. I loved Zita, who was spunky, had a lot of attitude, but not too much attitude, and had a core of decency and morality. Bram and Minifer, the two young servants in the castle, were adorable, and Mrs. Cantanker was deliciously evil through and through. Of course, this book gets my blessing. Even if you don't usually read middle grades, this book should appeal to most discerning readers. I don't really see anyone talking about this book, which is a shame, because it really is a good one. If you have a chance, you should check it out. Until we meet again, may all the books you read be blessed.